The drama surrounding Kevin Stefanski's latest move has sent shockwaves through the NFL world and ignited a firestorm among Cleveland Browns fans. In a league where quarterback controversies are practically a tradition, few decisions have felt as bizarre, as insulting, or as transparently political as what unfolded in Cleveland this week. Shocking isn't even the right word. Humiliating is closer. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Browns, a franchise infamous for sabotaging its own chances time and time again, just made the call to relegate rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders to QB3. Not QB1, not even QB2. QB3. Buried behind veterans, sidelined behind Dylan Gabriel, and stripped of the spotlight that seemed destined to be his. The moment the announcement dropped, the NFL world exploded. Fans were stunned, analysts were outraged, and social media turned into a war zone. Because to those who have been paying attention, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just another rookie quarterback fighting for scraps at camp. He was different. He carried a presence, an energy, the kind of poise and swagger that a broken franchise like Cleveland has been craving for decades. He wasn't just a player, he was a spark of hope. And just when it seemed like the Browns had finally stumbled onto something real, Stefanski slammed the door shut, locking Sanders in the shadows. But this isn't just about one depth chart decision. This is about politics. This is about ego. And most importantly, it's about fear. Fear of what happens the moment Shedeur Sanders gets onto the field, takes command, and turns the franchise upside down. Because make no mistake, Stefanski knows exactly what Sanders represents. He knows the second Shedeur takes the field, the crowd will erupt. He knows the media frenzy will descend on Cleveland. He knows every shred of his carefully controlled plan will unravel the moment Sanders captures the heart of the city. That's why this decision feels less like a football call and more like an act of sabotage. To understand why this has become such a scandal, you have to rewind. From the second Shedeur Sanders' name was called on draft night, there was a buzz in Cleveland unlike anything in recent memory. The city hasn't felt that level of anticipation since Baker Mayfield first arrived, but this time it was different. Shedeur wasn't just a promising rookie, he was a brand, a name that carried weight, a quarterback born into the spotlight, and a player who had already proven himself on the brightest stages. Cool, composed, and calculating, Sanders had shown time and time again that pressure only sharpened him. Training camp only amplified the hype. Sanders wasn't simply keeping up with the competition, he was setting the tone. His passes were sharp, his reads were quick, his leadership was magnetic. He was the first to arrive, the last to leave, the kind of presence teammates gravitated toward. Analysts began whispering that maybe, just maybe, the Browns had finally found their guy. Then there was Dylan Gabriel. A competent quarterback, sure, but one whose limitations have been discussed for years. At just under 6 feet, questions about his durability and arm strength have followed him everywhere. In practice, Gabriel flashed moments of skill, but he never commanded the field the way Sanders did. Yet somehow it was Gabriel, not Shedeur, who kept receiving public praise from the coaching staff. Reporters noticed Stefanski's tone. When Gabriel made a good throw, Stefanski hyped him up. When Sanders strung together an impressive drive, Stefanski brushed it aside. It felt deliberate, as if he were trying to tamp down the hype before it spiraled out of his control, and then came the bombshell. At the podium, Stefanski declared that Sanders would open the season as the third-string quarterback, not even in position to immediately challenge Gabriel, buried behind veterans, stripped of the chance to even stand on equal footing. The words landed like a punch to the gut. For fans, it was infuriating. For Sanders, it had to feel like a betrayal, because, let's be clear, this wasn't a football decision. Sanders outperformed Gabriel at camp. He looked sharper in scrimmages. He was more composed under pressure. Analysts, teammates, and fans alike saw it. Everyone knew it. The only explanation left wasn't performance, it was fear. Fear of what? Happens when Sanders takes the field and makes Gabriel irrelevant overnight. Fear of what happens when the rookie the fans adore most becomes the heartbeat of the franchise. Fear of losing control of the narrative. Stefanski thought he was protecting his team, his job, his authority. What he didn't realize was that by burying Sanders, he wasn't putting out the fire. he was fanning it into a blaze. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Within minutes of the announcement, social media erupted. Fans tweeted things like, "This is sabotage, plain and simple," and "You don't draft Shedeur Sanders just to humiliate him." Memes spread like wildfire. Stefanski, painted as a villain, Sanders portrayed as a caged lion, Gabriel mocked as a quarterback with training wheels. National analysts piled on as well, calling the move classic Browns dysfunction. Local talk shows shredded the decision, with one analyst saying flatly, "Sanders outplayed Gabriel. Period. This is about ego, not football." Inside the locker room, the whispers began too. Players had watched Sanders lead huddles, stay late, connect with teammates. They knew how good he looked. Some couldn't believe he was being pushed down the chart. Because in football, you can't fake respect. And Sanders had earned it. But instead of stopping the hype, Stefanski only transformed Sanders' story. No longer was he simply the exciting rookie. Now he was the underdog, the disrespected talent forced to fight his way out of the shadows. And if there's one thing fans love more than a superstar, it's an underdog with a chip on his shoulder. In the span of a single press conference, Stefanski turned Sanders from promising prospect into a symbol of the Browns' dysfunction, of the politics strangling the team, and of the rebellion building within the fan base. Zoom out even further, and the implications are bigger than just Cleveland. The NFL is hungry for new stars. Ratings have dipped. The league has been searching for charismatic young quarterbacks who can light up not just the field, but the culture around the sport. Shedeur Sanders is tailor-made for that role. He's young, magnetic, tied to one of football's most legendary families. Every snap he takes has national attention. And instead of capitalizing on that, the Browns have chained him to the bench. Imagine what opening day could have been. Sanders under center, the stadium roaring, the cameras locked on him, the NFL flooded with headlines. Instead, fans are staring at Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco. It's not just a missed opportunity for the Browns, it's malpractice for the league itself. But here's where the story turns even more dramatic. In burying Sanders, Stefanski has created a powder keg. Every interception Gabriel throws, every loss the Browns suffer, every moment the offense stalls will only magnify the demand for Sanders. Fans won't stay silent. The media won't stay patient. The calls for Shedeur will echo louder and louder, until they're impossible to ignore. And when that moment comes, when the Browns finally cave and unleash Sanders, the story will be bigger than football. It'll be a redemption arc, a revenge tale, the disrespected rookie rising from QB3 to become the face of a franchise and maybe even the league itself. Hollywood couldn't script it better. That's the nightmare Stefanski doesn't see coming. Because if Sanders steps onto the field and succeeds, every decision Stefanski made, every slight, every dismissal, every act of humiliation will come back to haunt him. Fans will remember, the media will remind him, and his own job might not survive the fallout. So yes, today Shedeur Sanders is QB3, but tomorrow he could be the quarterback who turns the NFL upside down. And when that moment arrives, Stefanski won't look like a cautious strategist. He'll look like the man who tried to bury a star and ended up fueling his rise. This isn't just a quarterback controversy. It's a war for the soul of the Cleveland Browns. It's talent versus politics, the future versus the past. A city desperate for hope against a franchise addicted to dysfunction. And in that war, Shedeur Sanders has already won the people. The only question left is how long it will take before he wins the field. And so, as the Browns stumble into yet another season clouded in controversy, all eyes are locked on the sidelines, waiting for the moment when the chant breaks out, when the calls can't be silenced anymore. We want Shedeur. Because you don't humiliate a player like Shedeur Sanders and expect him to stay buried. You don't push a star into the shadows and believe the story ends there. And you certainly don't ignite the fury of an entire fan base without facing the consequences. This is just the beginning. The storm is building. And when it finally hits, the rise of Shedeur Sanders may be the wildest ride the NFL has seen in years.